Hello everyone, this is Zigzag. Welcome back to another video on the channel, and welcome to my 100,000 subscriber Q&A. I'm going to read out the questions, answer all the interesting ones, and put some gameplay in the background. And yeah, even though this is a bit late, massive thank you for 100,000 subscribers. If you didn't realize, I got my plaque, so yeah, super exciting and great to be at this stage because the channel is growing really nicely, and also, it's good that I've been able to practice a lot meanwhile making videos, and those two haven't superseded one another, so that's really good. And we're through to the World Cup, so hopefully I can get my real grind on in the next 2 months, probably more focused on that than on videos, and do well there. But let's get into these questions. I'm going to try and do the rest of this video with no cuts, so bear with me if there's any awkward moments because I'm used to filming with cuts, and I don't really feel like editing this because it's probably going to take a while to answer all the questions, being as how they were quite some time apart from one another. But let's get into the questions here, first from YouTube and then from over on Discord. First question is from Graph. He asks, 3 patches of mud on the left side of the car sun, or 2022 copyright short antenna winter coverage daughter? I think I'm going to go for 2022 copyright short antenna winter coverage daughter. I think that just has more aura, in my opinion. I'm with this one more. Also, like, the funny thing about this one was that I accidentally, like, I released this a few days after filming it, and I forgot that I asked for Q&A questions, and I started answering the questions in the comment section because I completely forgot that they were for the Q&A. Just a kind of funny one. Okay. There's also just a bunch of comments about the video in question anyway. Favorite fan interaction. I think the still funniest fan interaction was when I okay, I said I was not going to do any cuts. Power through it. The funniest fan interaction, I think, was when I was in Canberra, and it was like kind of a work meeting thing at my last job, and I was just chatting to this guy, had no idea he knew who I was, and I just brought up something tangentially related to geography. I was like talking about a country, and I was like, oh yeah, like something, and he's like, oh, you would know about that. And I was like, what? I had to check for a second. I was like, wait, this guy, he knows who I am. So that was a pretty funny moment. I think that's got to be the funniest. There's been some other funny ones as well, but I think that was probably the best. Which less popular attraction in Australia would you recommend visiting as a tourist? I think if you're coming to South Australia, then going to Kangaroo Island is a really good one. I like, as a South Australian, for most of my life now, I was not expecting it to be as good as it was. Like, it really is quite different to the mainland, and pretty easy to get around as well if you like hire a car. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. Coolest place on earth for a straight line mission. Ooh, I didn't think about these beforehand. What about, like, I'm just looking at the map, what about like Patagonia? Like, I feel like it's actually doable in like South Argentina. Like, that immediately jumped out to me on the map. So maybe that. I think it's actually doable. Favorite Swedish food? Gosh. Wait, what's the fish on, like, rye crackers or something? I forget what it's called, but that was actually surprisingly good. I would probably have to go for that. Do you know who will be casting for Asia Pacific? Well, as we found out, it was just Rainbow and Parla with GC and Bloom on the desk. So that was nice. For the Q&A, dream collab partners. I would say Northern Lion. I really want to make a video with Northern Lion. Who else though? I mean, Mr. Beast. I would like to do a video with Mr. Beast at some point. That's probably not out of the question in a few years' time, but for now, definitely not possible. And actually, you know, some lore about me is that I used to watch Mr. Beast when he had like 20,000 subscribers or so, back when he used to make like videos making fun of like kids intros. Like, I used to watch him back then. I don't think I subscribed until he had like a couple 100,000. When I saw, oh, he's blowing up now, I may as well subscribe. But yeah, that was quite something. And I remember I was there for his whole blow up, basically. Even though I didn't watch too consistently, I definitely watched quite a bit back in the day. What kind of additions would deepen the gameplay of GeoGuessr? I think they need more modes. I have ideas. I've given them ideas. I also think they should introduce 100-player battle royale distance And I really think that could revive the streaming side of things, because that would be a really fun streaming game. Obviously, cheating would be a problem, but yeah, it's always a problem in GeoGuessr. Did you know people steal the Parkway Drive road sign in Australia all the time because there's an Australian band named after it? No, I did not know that. That's fascinating. Okay. Do we have something here? Would you rather have all remaining countries in shitcam or just generation 3 and 4 with Google? I think the question is like, would I rather have all in shitcam or just the ones we have with Google never updating them again? But if they were all shitcam, then even the ones with generation 3 and 4 now would just be shitcam, because I think I would prefer that. If we had full coverage in all countries, that would just be ideal. And, the lesser camera quality is not that bad for NMPZ, so I would have to go for that. Any good recs for ambient music? I would say I really love Gas. He's a German producer of like trance music. I think it's really good. Anything else on that? I mean, I just really love the Mono No Aware mixtape, which is by a bunch of artists. That's really good as well. Maybe those two. If you win the World Cup, in what way are you going to continue to play GeoGuessr? I think if I win the World Cup, I'll try and win again. Because I want to become the best player in the world at some point. I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't know how close I'll get, but I believe I can with all my time, and I do think I'm smart enough to. So yeah, that's kind of that, I guess. Who do you think is the most overrated and underrated GeoGuessr player? Oh gosh, overrated. Well, I think I'm one of them. At least at many points in my career, I was one of the most overrated. I met up with like fans, and they're like, "You like this is like maybe a year ago," and they're like, "Oh, you're a top 5 player in the world, right?" And I'm like, I start listing off like 30 people who are better than me. So that's a good political answer. I'll just say myself, even though maybe it's not true right now. Over time, it is true. Underrated. Who's really underrated right now? I think Angelo was really underrated before the tournament that we just saw. Who's like, I think Kron is really underrated. I think Kron's one of the best players in the world. Jeef as well from Bulgaria, just a player we don't see much in the community, who is clearly getting insane records. So yeah, I think most people don't know those names, but they're really top tier players. Microsoft Bimbos, that's classic. Underrated meta to learn. Underrated than overrated meta. I would say underrated is like Indian polls. I think there's like public documents for Indian polls, and I think a lot of people don't know them. So probably that. Overrated meta to learn. That's a good one. I'm sure I could think of some that I just don't think are not that useful. I would say maybe even it's something like knowing car colors in Europe and stuff like that, because they update it so often that it's not really overrated though, because not many people actually do it. There's got to be some metas that everyone learns that aren't that good, but I can't bring any to mind immediately. But there are definitely good examples that I probably could come up with. Anyway, is morality universal truth that applies to everyone? Like a law of physics, or is it more personal taste? I mean, I definitely think there are good arguments for both. I'm Christian, so I believe the former. But yeah, I mean, I definitely respect, like, what would you say, like, academically respect a lot of people who believe the latter as well. And I definitely, like, see the argument for it. So I guess I'd leave it at that. Yes. When in Stockholm in June, you should take a trip north. Yeah, that's a good point. I would have loved to have seen the midnight sun. Didn't have time because I was off to Canada. But already there's only like 3 hours of nighttime in June Stockholm, which is pretty crazy. So yeah. What's your absolute favorite meta? That's either funny or extremely useful. Yeah, I mean, I guess in a way my favorite meta is probably the Tasmanian possum guard because I came up with that one and I think it's really useful, and also just like everyone kind of knows it, but it's also like, you know, I called it the olive green possum guard, and it's also kind of funny how everyone just like continued to call it that. So I'm pretty proud of that one. Also, Lazy Bugatti I think is making videos at the moment, which are pretty good, so check them out, guys. Okay, for the Q&A, I'll just answer the first one. What skill have you developed playing GeoGuessr using in your daily life? Probably directionality. I'm able to like work out where to walk, which is something I was pretty poor at previously, so I'd probably say that. But then also just like appreciating like landscapes, vegetation, you know, being able to talk like architecture or botany with people who are interested in that. That's another, not really a skill, but definitely something I enjoy about being a bit better now. How long does it take to get to my level? So it's definitely easier to get to where I am right now than it ever has been because of the abundance of resources on Plonket, for example. I would say you could probably get to my level in a year right now, but that would be an extreme undertaking. I would say for most people who would put in a high level of effort, it would probably take about 2 years to get as good as I am right now. But it all depends on the person, of course, and yeah. I guess I'll just leave it at that. Do you listen to Midnight Oil or In Excess? I have listened to both. I don't listen to both on a regular basis, though. My godfather is next door neighbor to the drummer from Midnight Oil. Forget his name. Rob something, I think. But yeah, that's something. Yeah, Australian bands, yeah. Very good, very good. There are some really good Australian bands, but yeah, these two I only know songs. I don't really know the catalog, so to speak. To get better at GeoGuessr, you just play more, or are there other methods, especially for region guessing? I mean, obviously studying is like pound for pound, studying is better than playing, but playing is easier than studying. So I have tended to adopt the philosophy, with both my YouTube channel and with playing, that like it's better to play more and release more videos and stuff than to sit around and like, you know, craft, you know, like you know, because like if I was like always sitting down to learn Copper Button, I would procrastinate so much, whereas when I sit down to play, I can just play for hours. So even though studying is maybe like 30% more effective for your time, if you do it 50% less, then the math doesn't work out right. So yeah. Favorite type of cheese? I don't really have a favorite type of cheese. Maybe just cheddar. I'm not really a cheese connoisseur by any stretch of the imagination. I try everything. So I've tried blue cheese and all of it, but yeah. What cities would you recommend for a foreigner looking to move to Australia? I think Adelaide's super good, super like livable. Perth. Depends what you're after, because like Sydney and Melbourne both have a lot going for them as well. But if you like kind of like the busy kind of, if you like kind of the hustler, if you're like kind of a hustler, then probably like Sydney. And if you like the arts a lot and sport a lot, then probably Melbourne. But like, I don't know, all the major cities in Adelaide, in Australia are more than livable. I could recommend Adelaide though; it's a pretty good city. How did you decide to be a professional player? Is there a person that inspired me? Well, I kind of built my way up to being a professional player. There's no real moment, I would say. There's like a moment when I was in Europe in 2022 when I decided, okay, when I get back, I'm really going to dedicate myself to getting better. But at the same time, I guess I was already definitely considered a pro at that stage. So yeah, it just kind of happened over time. And a player that inspired me, like beyond GeoWizard, I mean, there were many, right? Like, I mean, like I always admired Kurt. Not Dog Kurt, but Kurt, retired Kurt. Like I would just watch his videos back in the day, and like they would just blow my mind. And to think that I'm capable of the same things now is pretty cool, because I kind of know how you guys feel if you're a bit worse than me watching, because that was pretty surreal to watch back in the day. Why did you decide to focus on GeoGuessr and YouTube? So before GeoGuessr, I was working for the government in like the welfare sector, and I studied history and philosophy, and GeoGuessr on YouTube, it's fun, and it's always something I wanted to do, so like, why not, you know? It just made sense. And there was also a few weeks where I was out earning my like full-time wage on YouTube, so yeah, like at that point it was like, why not? What brought you to playing GeoGuessr? I played it first in high school, then I discovered GeoWizard online. Yeah. Here's the situation. Someone's watching you and you don't know yet. Suddenly you turn your heads towards their direction and both of your eyes meet. Do you feel as if you caught someone watching you, or do you feel like you have just been caught trying to look at someone? Right. I feel like I'm more so on this side, trying to look at them. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely depends on the situation, right? Will I ever come to visit WA soon? I have family in Perth, so I probably will. I probably will go visit, and I would love to get out some other places in Western Australia. I think it's quite a beautiful state. I would like to go to Margaret River and Albany and some of those South Coast places. I think they're really cool. Can I answer that? What country do you know the least, and what country aside from Australia is the strongest? Strongest is kind of difficult to answer because I have like a bunch of strengths, but none of them are particularly strong. I could probably just say South Africa is a country I've always considered myself pretty competent on. What country do I know the least? South Korea, Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, there's a few, but probably South Korea. I just really click in the middle still, despite everything, despite all the years I've been playing. Favorite location on GeoGuessr? There's a really cool road. Someone can find it in the comments and maybe comment it. But there's a really cool road in New Mexico, which is snowy coverage and it's covered in red dirt, and it's just like you're just driving on pure red soil. So I don't know what's going on with the soil right there, but it comes to mind as my favorite road. For the Q&A, that was that. One general meta you'd have make non-existent. I think Generation 4 car meta. I think copyright is actually much less harmful than all the blue car, red car, grey car, dark blue car that's kind of plagues Gen 4 now. It was so much better when they drove it without any car meta, so I would get rid of that. I'm gonna especially destroyed Australia, in my opinion. Like, you have to just know all the car colors now, which, I mean, to my advantage, I know them better than most people, but yeah, it's just annoying. If you develop some superhuman region guessing powers in 2 countries, what would you pick? Okay, one for competitiveness and one for personal fun. Just like one for swag points, I would probably pick. It's got to be something interesting. For swag points, I would say it could be like really fun to be what's something that everyone really struggles with that would just be funny to be super good at. I think that I would probably in that way like just be giga cracked at like Taiwan or because I feel like only Angelo, he's like the only player who's really mastered it. So I feel like Taiwan would be a fun one to like master for swag points, and then for like competitiveness, probably just Russia. That's a pretty simple one to just have like complete mastery of. Like, yeah. Yeah, people talking about Karania and Lero potentially missing out, but they both made it through. Obviously Lero missed out on World Cup, but they were both there, so that was good. Obviously, they definitely both deserve to be there. Okay. Nation-based hatred. Is there any nation-based hatred in the GeoGuessr community that you've experienced? I think it's probably better not to go into this, but there's been some mild stuff. I don't think it's anything too bad. Kind of the stuff you'd expect. But I feel like the GeoGuessr community is relatively harmonious these days, so no point bringing up old wounds, I would say. And yeah. Okay, next one here. What country, place would you like to visit that you have encountered in GeoGuessr that stuck with you? So firstly, it was Slovenia. That's where I really wanted to go. Now I would say Bhutan, because I visited Slovenia. So I'd say Bhutan is a country that I didn't really realize how beautiful it is, and I think I would really like to go there. How did I find out about GeoGuessr? I answered that. Any idea if Left Hook is old enough or willing to compete in Asians? I assume Lefty is old enough, but I also assume he's not willing because Lefty is pretty private and never really revealed his voice or anything, though he does play in Twitch streams as far as I know. But yeah, for those of you unaware, he's I believe, Samoan player living in New Zealand, I think. That's as much as I know, who is very cracked at NMPZ. Very cracked. So, yeah. Can I do a 0.1 second Jules series? That could be interesting. I considered that. Because I know Diona is. So if you want to check out someone doing it, Diona has been doing it. Wildcard tournaments. I don't know. I feel like they could have just picked people. I feel like they should have just picked RC, for example. Because a lot of these people did have opportunities to compete. Maybe wildcards could be people, maybe wildcards could have been people who couldn't, for some reason, participate. Obviously, I mean, it's not quite fair because they didn't have to go through the qualifiers, but that's what a wildcard is, right? So, but I mean, it's fine. Your voice and accent is a combination I could listen to all day. Have I considered doing rap? Oh, I have done some rap stuff in the past, but I'm not gonna show. Sorry, guys. Thank you. Favorite type of media. Favorite director and writer. Oh, is difficult. I would not say I'm dedicated to either any directors or writers, to be honest with you. I think C.S. Lewis, like the Narnia Chronicles and his other stuff, is something I've always enjoyed, but I couldn't really call him my favorite author. I don't know if I have one. When I was little, I used to read history books by Susan Wise Bauer. That comes to mind. But again, I bought one of her books recently. I've not listened, but I plan to listen to that at some point. Favorite director, I don't really have one. And the thing about me is I'm really just a YouTube junkie. That's like 90% of the media I consume is YouTube and then music. But yeah, basically those two. Like YouTube and Spotify pretty much account for everything. New merch, yes. I've got a really good idea for new merch, so expect that in maybe for 150k subs, I would say. Yeah. How do I put on shoes? I go sock, shoe. And what foot do I start with? That's a good question. I would say normally right, but I'm not too sure. How do you stay interested in GeoGuessr after thousands of games? Well, there's always more you can go into. And when you get to my level, part of the joy is being able to beat people and see your skill increase all the time. And it's easy to stay motivated, to be honest with you. I mean, sometimes on individual days it isn't, but for the most part it is. How do I distinguish between South Africa, UK? There's plenty of videos about this. Check out the Plonket guide. But for generalities, I mean, South Africa will have the yellow outer lines, so that's the main one. And then, yeah, there's lots of stuff you can go into there. Favorite car meta? Probably, I thought about this, like, perhaps the car that you get in New South Wales national parks, just because it's quite iconic. And I feel like a lot of people don't know the Australian national park cars, but I'm sure I could think of a better idea for this one, but I like that one. Have you considered practicing something along sub 5 minute 24/7 50s for the tournament? It's not really a format I'm too interested in, because you can do it in 10 seconds per round. Oh, that's what you mean in moving games. Yeah, I mean, yes, I've been practicing this since this question was asked. Absolute favorite location on Google Maps? Gosh, I feel like I really love one location. Surely I can think of that. I don't think I have one yet. I'm sure I could come up with one, but there are iconic ones for sure. I don't think I have one. I have to answer like that. Favorite album, artist, and song. Favorite album of all time is probably Ever Since by Blade. Favorite artist is Lucky, the rapper, and with an I. And all-time favorite song, that's just maybe Limerence by Yves Jumeau. For those three. Do you have any huge passions outside of geography and GeoGuessr? They're my main ones, to be honest, at the moment, definitely. I was way into poker for some time. I wouldn't call that a huge passion anymore. I definitely followed Counter-Strike pretty closely and loved that game, but again, with GeoGuessr, not so much of a passion anymore. Yeah, I wouldn't say I do have one outside of GeoGuessr at the very moment, but I certainly have in the past and probably will have others in the future. I'm go through seasons, but for GeoGuessr, it's here to stay. 8 and zigzag. It was a typo when I was little, and I hit that I and the 8 at the same time. I thought it looked cool. It was the first time I ever used zigzag as a username, so I just stuck with it looking like that. What is it about GeoWizard that makes him the GOAT of GeoGuessr content? He's so funny and likable, and you know, he was just a legitimate geography fan who's just kind of you know, like just like found his way into success with GeoGuessr, and he's really a comedian. That's what makes him the GOAT, as well as being a great player. He's a comedian. So yeah, I still watch most of GeoWizard's videos. What countries have I specifically mastered? I think I'm on the way to master. So Australia, I could say mastered, for the general sense of the word. On the way to mastering. Brazil, South Africa, India, USA. What else? Malaysia. I wouldn't say I've mastered any of those countries. So Turkey, France. I wouldn't say I've mastered any of those countries, but they're some of my favorites for sure. Do you think GeoGuessr can provoke gratitude or awareness towards Mother Earth? Definitely. I certainly think that. Do I plan on learning any Asian languages? What did I answer here? Thai could be helpful. Yeah, I learned Thai in the meantime. I can speak a bit of German, not French. I did learn French when I was in primary school, but no, I can't speak any. If you could choose 3 countries to be Gen 4'd up, which would it be? I mean, China. China, Morocco, and Venezuela. Let's go with those. I think that's pretty reasonable. Maybe I could pick something better than Venezuela, though. So let's go Uzbekistan instead. Screw it. What's your opinion on Sweden as a country? I really like Sweden. I think it's just seems pretty, like, I've only seen Stockholm, but Stockholm's a much more beautiful city than I thought. And you know, the Swedish countryside is beautiful. Like, it's kind of like France, like the nice rolling landscape without being anything spectacular. But yeah, I do like it. Best Thai boy feature on a Blade song. Damn, now you're making me think. I can definitely get this one though. Oh, Still in Search of Sunshine? Yeah, Still in Search of Sunshine. Boom. Who do you think is the most underrated GeoGuessr player at the moment? Answered that. Favorite country that I've traveled to, Slovenia or Japan. 5 countries out of GeoGuessr, I basically answered that. Smash or pass, Echo 2K. Respectfully pass, but I understand if you say smash. How far away do you have to get to 4999? That is dependent on the map, but for world maps, it's about 200 meters. What country do you want to visit the most on each continent? Okay, so Bhutan for Asia, Africa, Ethiopia, South America, probably Brazil or Colombia. I'm not quite sure which. Let's say Colombia. Yeah, Colombia. North America, Mexico, and Oceania, maybe Papua New Guinea? I don't know. I feel like, or New Zealand. I don't know. One of those two probably. Yeah. And Europe. I think I would like to visit. Ooh, I'm kind of between a few. I think I will visit some of the ultimate ones I want to visit later in the year, but excluding those ones, probably Italy. Okay. Favorite albums of all time. So yeah, Watch My Back by Lucky, Ever Since by Blade, Hatful of Hollow by the Smiths. What else can I say? Favorite. That's 3 like near flawless albums. So I could Twilight by Haruka Nakamura, also a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Let's say those 4 are some of my favorite albums of all time. And for season, like Ever Since is a winter album. They're all kind of, in a way, I mean, like Twilight could be a summer album. Ever Since and Watch My Back are kind of winter albums, and Hatful of Hollow you could plug in between, I guess. Okay. kind of answered that. If I could live in any country, where would I go? I'll exclude Australia and Canada. If quite honestly, also New Zealand would be quite an option for me. Probably Sweden or Germany though. Germany because I speak German, have friends there. Sweden because it's GeoGuessr stuff. How long do I play GeoGuessr every day? Probably about 8 hours at the moment, give or take. How did I meet my first GeoGuessr Pro friends in real life and online? Lenley was my first friend. We met on Reddit in a Reddit league, and probably my second one was Kodiak, who would always comment on my videos and then was helping me out with stuff. And, you know, a slew of others after that. In terms of IRL, I mean, I met Kodiak and Lenley first in real life, but, I mean, you know, there's no one I really met IRL and then, like, went on to play a lot with, I guess, except for people at the World Cup, but that's a lot of people. Okay. If I could go back 1 year ago and change one thing about my life, what would it be? Maybe I would 1 year ago exactly. Man, I'd probably try and eat more for my gym gains. I don't know if that's the right answer. Okay. How have things been after quitting the job? I think it's good. I think financially, you know, I still haven't caught up to what I was earning on 2 incomes before, but I think with the channel growth and with the progress towards the World Cup, I think, yeah, it makes sense. Favorite drug? Probably alcohol. I think that would make sense. But I don't even like alcohol that much, to be honest. I don't know. It's probably my favorite drug. Maybe even just like some kind of ibuprofen or something. I don't know. Have I thought about retiring or going into other games? No, not yet. But we'll see down the line. What happened to Steak? Steak was cheating on the ladder and got banned, and you know, I don't really speak on it too much because, you know, Steak's a friend, but yeah, that's basically what happened, and you know, he's still around but not too much, and so we'll see what happens. I mean, GeoGuessr has a pretty lenient policy with letting people back in, but then again, Steak has other past what would you say, iniquities that he has to speak up for, I guess. So I was just wanted him to make a response, but he wasn't interested in doing so. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. What did I do? Where did I go to school? High school or college? Well, it was a high school that was called a college. So, I mean, or where did I go to school? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'll probably just leave that question alone, I guess. Oh yeah, I mentioned that. I said Nun danket alle Gott by Bach as my favorite thing to sing in choir. But I don't actually know if that's my true answer. Something by Bach, surely. Do I like the idea of a team event for GeoGuessr World Cup? Yes. Definitely, I do. Since you're Victorian, what AFL team do I support? Western Bulldogs. Would you throw a dart and go wherever it lands on the map? Yes, when I have enough subscribers and money. What's the easiest seed you've ever gotten? Probably the one where I got the I've gotten some maybe easier ones since, but the most iconic is where I got the 24,000, almost 700 back in 2022. That was a very easy seed. Do I have a girlfriend? No. Which country would you visit if you had the opportunity to fly anywhere that you wanted for free? Maybe like a Pacific island or like Svalbard or just something super unique, you know. Probably not Antarctica. I don't think I'm that interested in Antarctica. But probably like, you know, like, yeah, probably Svalbard or like deep south Patagonia or I don't know, something like that. Kamchatka, that could be fun. Man, maybe that. I don't think it's not really so easy to visit Russia right now, but yeah. Do I think GeoGuessr will ever have orgs? Probably at some point. It's really difficult to say what's going to happen with GeoGuessr, but I think it's well possible, especially if they lean into the team thing, which I think they should. Are there owls in Australia? Yes. Hardest country to vibe guess? Ooh, that's always like a difficult question to answer because it kind of depends. Pure vibe guessing difficulty is probably just Russia, because like NMPZ Russia can be like it's all about the coverage though. If you don't know any coverage, then it's just really hard on Russia. Indonesia the same, maybe. Yes, I currently make a living out of GeoGuessr, yes. Which countries do you easily get mixed up? I for some reason have always had this real problem on NMPZ with Philippines and Colombia, so that's a silly one that I always mix up. Being as you like GeoGuessr and haven't learned a second language, would it be hard to learn a language and still trying to be really good at GeoGuessr? I think they're kind of similar parts of the brain, right? So I've put my German learning on the back burner, and I think I will get back into a lot of German learning soon, or like when I'm done grinding GeoGuessr. Remove a single country from maps. I mean, it's got to be like Monaco or something, but if I was thinking from a competitive standpoint, probably just like South Korea or something. If you were placed in English-speaking country, okay. Is New Zealand real? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Honest opinions about the decision to remove subscriptions. I'm not a big fan of it. My honest opinion is that like I didn't really like like have a strong reaction to it. At the end of the day, they're just trying to make money, and like it is annoying, but you know, it's like I don't know, like I mean, yeah, it is somewhat discouraging for me that there's no kind of free way to get like a free trial or something. I definitely think they should do that, because they've got a lot of eyes on the game right now, but yeah, we'll see. They could revert the change. Like we just have to see what they do. Back to Steak getting banned. I mean, also one thing I wanted to mention on this, I think, is that you know, I do think all the Plonker records that he had that were removed were all legit, in my opinion. I didn't have any reason to suspect any of those. That being said, I do think they'll probably rainbow tournaments. In fact, I'm relatively confident that there were rainbow tournaments where there was foul play going on. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Like, yeah, I don't know, take it or leave it. Yeah. After quite some time of quitting a job, does it seem feasible? Yeah, it does seem feasible. I live at home right now, so money is not an issue right now, but it definitely could be. And you never know when you're gonna fall off and stuff. But I feel like I'm pretty resourceful. Yeah, we can definitely make it through some harder times, I think. If GeoGuessr falls off a cliff, then I'd probably just try some other types of videos before going to normal work. I'm 24 years old. My MBTI, I think, and my sister was INTJ, and I think I was ESFP. Last time I checked, which was quite some years ago. But I think we were like the exact opposite, which is funny, because we get on really well, but like complete opposite. Okay, I realized I've been going for like 38 minutes on the main YouTube stuff. There was still some to answer, but I decided to let me jump over to Discord so I don't let the Discord people down as well. And I'll go as long here as I can bear, probably another 15 minutes or so. And I'll skip all the ones I've seen before. Okay. Yeah, we've pretty much answered that. What's your favorite part of the GeoGuessr community? I would say it is just like playing with others and kind of sharing knowledge, and you know, I particularly have always enjoyed playing with people who are better than me and stuff like that. But you know, really, it's the friendship, and I guess that's common with any community. But yeah, I think it would really be that. How much time does it take to learn a big and / medium-sized country? I would say it's definitely more than like 20 hours to get really good. I don't know how many hours I played in Australia, 50 to 100, or 100 plus really, probably. Actually, yeah, I definitely played 100 plus hours of Australia, but to get to like, kind of like, man, you're really good, on some countries it's going to be 50 plus hours, on most probably be like 20 or 30. And on smaller countries could be as much as like, as little as like 10. For example, Uruguay, I would say I'm quite competent on compared to most. That's with 10 hours practice. I think with 10 more, I could become really cracked at it, but you got to pick your battles, right? Favorite red road. There's this one, okay, I mentioned the other one before. I mean, actually, maybe it's just the one like leading up to Alice Springs in South Australia. That's just like so iconically red, I gotta say. Favorite sport, cricket, blonde or brunette? The heart. What's your full name? Oscar Pierce. When is the Red Roadmap dropping? It's still under construction. I would say after the World Cup, I'll probably drop it. When it hits, it's on 5,000 locations. When it hits like 8,000, 10,000, I'll probably drop it. Okay, what country is the most underrated in terms of region guessing? What's an underrated country for region guessing? I would say Peru is surprisingly fun. Turkey's surprisingly fun. I'd say the most underrated is India, but I get why people don't like it. Meow, 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 meow. Thoughts on the new Blade album? Really like it. Yeah, it's got a bit of, I think all the tracks produced by Lucy are kind of a bit of filler. Like, I don't know, would prefer if it didn't have those ones. Like, we already kind of heard that sound on The Fool and Ice Dancer and stuff, but I mean, yeah, but overall I really quite enjoyed it. MF Doom, of course I like MF Doom. Mad Villainy is insane, not to mention Food. Great albums. Yeah, we kind of covered that. Favorite smell? That's, I feel like just like I feel like it is like maybe just the smell of rain. I think so. Goals after the World Cup. I think yeah, it's gonna be like a switch up to more content creation, trying to network, get some bigger collabs, maybe something like that. Less known artist or band I'd like to shout out. Oh, what's his name? Oh, okay. What is like Lil Waterbed is a rapper I listened to for years. His song Backward Shorty is really, really good. Never really blew up. But back when I was, 18, back in 2018, I really loved that artist, Lil Waterbed. Do I have a scare of burnout? Somewhat, yeah. Favorite fast food? I would say that it's probably, if for regular consumption, probably KFC. I mean, I know KFC is not too popular in the US and stuff, but in Australia, KFC is pretty beloved. I would say probably KFC, but I don't know. I mean, probably favorite I've ever been to was Five Guys. I thought Five Guys was pretty fire. I also liked A&W over in Canada. I think A&W is pretty solid. Plans to travel soon besides Sweden. I think that me and Lenley might be doing some of the Balkans after the championship World Cup. And if not, then I would say Georgia and Turkey are also two countries I really want to visit. Armenia maybe. But yeah, we'll see. Which US state would I like to visit the most? Owen's asking. Probably California for that reason. Is it really Cali though? Oregon, California, Wyoming, Montana. Yeah, probably Montana or Wyoming, to be honest. New York. West Virginia, I think, is actually very beautiful. But I don't know if it's the best place to visit, but I would still like to visit there. What made me start tracking red roads? I was playing the France map with Steek, and he was mentioning that in the east you get the red roads, and I started being like, well, I've seen those all around the place. Let me kind of keep track of those. Who do I prefer, Messi or I Love Messi? I Love Messi, of course. And shout outs to the GOAT Messi. I don't know. I don't have an opinion. Ronaldo, sure. Shout outs to Ronaldo. If GOAT were to lend you a tracker camera and you had 2 weeks to cover somewhere, this is such a good question. I would go to some other country, right? I would like hop on the plane and like go cover some main roads in like some Pacific Islands. I would like go like every day like a new Pacific Island and just like cover some side streets as well. Could be so cool. Kian is answering the questions for us apparently. Favorite Italian food plus no pineapple on pizza. Shoutouts to Foxy the GOAT, guys. Truly one of the GeoGuessr players of all time. I would say my favorite Italian dish. I think just some kind of a pasta, right? Like I like spaghetti bolognese. Some kind of a pasta. I'm not really quite sure. It could be, kind of depends on the day, right? I don't know. Some kind of a pasta. Do I believe in free will? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I guess my religious convictions do kind of lead that way, but I guess, yeah, not all Christians believe that. I don't know. Yeah, I do. I do think the soul, the existence of a soul, does kind of make free will possible. But I also believe that if you don't believe, if you're a materialist, then I don't think free will is possible. Or yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah, maybe, but yeah, I don't think it's really possible because like of yeah. I guess that would be a whole other video. But yeah, which country would I like to see added next? Yeah, I've mentioned that. Funny story that I've never had the opportunity to tell. I should have looked at these beforehand, but I don't have one on deck. So, I mean, go check out. Actually, yeah, go check out my video with Angelo, which should be out now or out in a few days. That one mentions a funny story about how we almost got arrested in Sweden. So that's kind of good. Near the end of the video. Who will win the World Cup? My hot take is maybe Debre. I think maybe Debre, or maybe me actually. Does British food suck? I think it's definitely worse than the stuff you'd get around the Mediterranean, right? And like French food, for example. But I don't think it sucks. There's plenty of British dishes I like, right? Bread and butter pudding, it's a classic. Fish and chips, hard to go wrong. Do you still do the accent when no one's listening? Of course not. What are you talking about? Strangest drop I've ever gotten, and where was it? Ooh. Again, probably would have to think about that a bit longer. I mean, you get some wild ones. Maybe like the Martinique Trekker or something like that. It's kind of a strange one. Have I ever learned a language just for GeoGuessr? I learned to read Thai script and Cyrillic alphabet just for GeoGuessr, but you know, like no actual learning beyond words. Outside of winning the GeoGuessr World Cup, what is a long-term dream or goal? I don't know. I'm really taking it as things come at the moment. Like I'm not too like committed to a certain exact goal. I mean, I'd love to get 1 million subscribers, but that is I mean that could be a good one. Yeah, that's a long-term goal and dream for sure. What is your record for 25k time on a balanced O block? Crazy question, bro. What happens when you die? Yeah, as it's come up a few times now, my religion, but yeah, I do believe that there is a judgment. But suppose I'm wrong, then probably nothing. I don't know. But then again, you like hear people's NDE, near-death experience, kind of recounts, and I feel like there is some mysterious stuff which we don't understand, which maybe we can't understand through science anyway. So yeah, overall, I do think that even if my religious conception's wrong, that there is probably something. But yeah, I'm not too sure. But it might be nothing. Nothing happened, says Armani. How do you feel when you mog the out of every man that crosses your path? Thank you, Jimmy. I think that the questions were starting to devolve now that it was some time after. Favorite philosopher. Ooh. I've always been interested by Nietzsche and by Kant, but it's been a while since I started philosophy, so I don't think I can give like a good like complex reason why. But I did also enjoy. We read Naming a Necessity by Saul Kripke towards the end of my degree, and that book was really interesting. I thought that was a good book if anyone's interested in kind of philosophy of names and stuff like that. How would I feel if Gen 1 got deleted? I think I would be fine with that. Yeah, I would say so. Future career path aside from YouTube, not sure. Specific beginner metas you learnt first. Yeah, everything that like GeoPeter talked about in his original videos, the polls, the bollards, the Google cars, all that stuff. But maybe domain names as well, I guess, at the very beginning. Do I think GeoGuessr will grow as a game? I think it'll always be around. I think it's kind of like chess. Like even if chess is not quite as popular in a decade or two, or gets more popular, it'll always kind of have a baseline interest, because GeoGuessr doesn't, people are interested in the world. So, but I could definitely see the competitive side of things fading away at some point. I don't know. Am I going to learn more German? Yes, at some point, definitely. Made cosplay when? I'm not going to commit myself to anything here, but you just never know. If you had the divine power to remove one Google Meta, I already said that. Oh, it was the same guy asking. Yes, I asked that. Okay, some of these are crazy. Have I ever had a tough period in my life where GeoGuessr improved or changed my life? Yes, definitely. After my breakup, I got my 24,700, and it definitely helped me, like, just making YouTube videos and stuff definitely helped me to take my mind off it. So that was good. Favorite food, donuts. Were the councils of Nicaea valid? I think so. Vatican II. Yeah, I'm not Catholic, so I don't know. Why is there a church doctrine? Okay. Why is there a warning about the YouTube algorithm in every video description? Because I once came across a channel before I even had a channel, I think, or maybe right at the start of my channel, that had such a warning. I think it was living, what's it? It's a philosophy channel. The guy that lives in Macau, living freely is a philosophy channel. I can't remember. Carelessly, living freely, something like that. And he has it at the start of every video, and I just thought it's good because I've been addicted to YouTube at different times in my life, and I don't think it's the worst addiction you can have, but you got to keep in mind that the algorithm can suck you in, definitely. So yeah. Do I continue? I think let's just skim through here. Drake vs Kendrick. Do I play chess? I used to play chess quite a lot back as a kid. Like I was in the we were state champions of South Australia, me and my chess club in primary school. We beat the Russian ethnic school, believe it or not. But yeah. Anki, yeah, I use that sometimes just for flashcards I've made. Thinking of moving to Europe. I still want to move to Germany at some point, but I'm just not sure how I'll go about getting a getting my visa, because I don't work with the company now, and often I feel like to get into Schengen countries you need some kind of a work visa or something like that. So maybe the avenue would be to move to Sweden or something, right? I don't know. Do GeoGuessr players have to submit a drug test? No, and I kind of feel like they should have to, in my opinion. At least for the World Cup, I think they should do a drug test. What's the GeoGuessr achievement I'm most proud of? I mean, it probably just has to be my third place performance at the recent tournament. I would say so. What personality of trait of myself do I appreciate the most? I think I am a relatively non-judgmental person who tries to see the best in people. I would say that, but it can backfire as well. So yep. This is a crazy question. I remember reading this. Do I agree? Yeah, probably better not to weigh in on that one. Favorite TV kids show? Oh no. Probably favorite TV kids show, probably Play School. I mean, if I had to sum them all up, I think so. First person I met on GeoGuessr IRL. Was it Eddie? I think it was Eddie. That would make sense. Eddie's in Adelaide. Or did I meet Eddie straight after I came back from Europe? So it was either Lenley or Eddie. One of the two. Yeah, they were the first two. Do I have autism? I really believe not. But I do have some attention deficit traits, I think, but nothing diagnosed at all. 4 favorite films. Ooh, okay. Napoleon Dynamite, Donnie Darko. I'm just gonna throw out 2 other. That's my 2 favorites. I'll just throw out 2 other names. I really like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and it's another movie I just really quite enjoy. I'm thinking of other names, but do any of them really fit on a top 4? Nah, don't really think. I'll just leave it at 3. I'm not really a movie buff. What did my family think about it? Grandma was really disappointed because she was a fan of the job I had before. Dad had encouraged me not to, perhaps, quit. And then everyone else was pretty supportive of it. No, I have no pets. Favorite car meta, mentioned that. Pineapple on pizza, I say yes. Dogs are my preference, I would say. Highest multis I've ever played. I definitely got to like round 20 before, so probably in excess of, can be up to almost 10 times multis. I could definitely remember like 8.5 or 9 times on a competitive game. How does it feel not to be the best player in your city? Awful. Terrible. Cry myself to sleep every night knowing that a crazy creeper is the best in Adelaide. Do I expect to win APAC? I did not expect to win APAC after I saw who was going. Yeah. And what do you know? I didn't, but I think I gave a good effort. And I was lucky to get through, so, you know. Fastest way to get to being an intermediate player? Sit down and play 5 hours a day. Just do it. Did I think I'd get to 100k when I started my channel? I think by the time I got 2,000 subscribers, I did think I would eventually get to 100k, because I just didn't see like why I would stop. But when I very much started, probably not, I guess. I mean, who knows? Another crazy question here. Are you recording also some gaming sessions that were never meant to be for YouTube or Shorts? Sometimes, yeah. Just in case I get a crazy guess, or maybe even just recording my friends and I playing like Counter-Strike or something can happen. Yes, we get into an interesting conversation over here. I think I might leave it there. But yeah, I hope you guys really enjoy. What does Australia smell like? Australia smells good. It smells like eucalyptus a lot of the time. Yeah, guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this Q&A. Massive thank you to you guys for 100,000 subscribers. God bless you all. Thank you for watching the channel. Hope you enjoy the videos coming out. And yes, I have actually made this before 200k subscribers. Do it. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this Q&A, and I will see you guys very soon. And I would say, till next time, goodbye.